Hello, everyone. How was everybody doing today? Man, his hair. Oh, I can't get, we're gonna get these circles right one day. Hey, purse. Okay, I was told not to acknowledge, so but you the first one on, so I'm gonna still say hi. Because they said to take away from what I got going on. I'm gonna get these circles out of my eyes eventually. We're getting the right product. I'm gonna get started in another minute. I'm gonna get started at 5:02 because I wrote a lot, and so I'm not trying to keep y'all long. But you know how you type? It's a difference between pages of typed and what you actually say. So for sure, we'll not be anywhere near as long as what I have on here. So I was like, man. I'm trying to be like Joe Osteen. When he speaks, he smiles. Everything he says has a smile. So I'm trying to work on talking with a smile. All right, y'all. It's 5:02 and I'm going to get started. So today I'm going to speak about when loyalty has you in a chokehold. And I went back and forth about this topic, and I really thought about Nadia today. And that's why I posted on there about her hair and just what we come in agreement with regarding our loyalty and what we swallow. So today we're going to talk about somebody I probably never thought I was going to talk about. And it's Samson. We're going to talk about Samson. So Samson, we're going to speak about Judges 13 through chapters 13 through chapter 16. So, you know, we always think when we think of Samson, we think of his great strength. But who was he? And what unhealed loyalties cost him? And can you see yourself in Samson? I know that I have several times. So I'm going to give you guys some background about Samson. Because again, we always just think about just Samson and Delilah. But Samson had he was 3 chapters. So his father was Manoah. And his mother, we don't know her name. She was she was just an unnamed woman in the Bible. But she was childless. And, you know, during that time, actually, even today, being childless is like such a plague. And so an angel appeared to her 2 times. The first time was by herself. She told her husband. The second time the angel came, she went and got her husband. And then the husband started asking the angel questions. They tried to get him to stay, have dinner. He was like, you guys can detain me. However, I'm not going to eat, but you can make a sacrifice to God. So in the midst of them making the sacrifice to God, the angel ascended into the flames. So Manoah, the husband, said, we're about to die. We've just seen God, an angel from God. We're going to die. And so his wife was like, listen, if we were going to die, he would have killed us. So they didn't die. she ends up having Samson some time later. So we really didn't hear much about Samson's childhood, but so it goes from him being born to him just taking a journey, and he physically falls in love with a foreign woman. And so he goes back to his parents and he's like, get this woman for me. I want her. The parents were like, no, you need to marry somebody from our own people, our own clan. And he was like, no, this is who I want. Go get her. So he decides, his parents go ahead and they get this woman. And so with the tradition of him going to get her, he went to then go talk to her because he just saw her from far off and was like, I want her. So now he goes to talk to her. But on his road to going to see her, a lion comes out to him and the Spirit of God comes upon him and he rips this lion apart. So at this point, he had never even known what his strength was. But that was his first encounter with knowing that he had this unusual strength. However, he didn't tell anybody because he's trying to get to this woman. So he continues and he spends 3 days with her. And on his way back, he sees the carcass of the lion, and some bees have made honeycomb, and there's honey in this carcass. So he eats the honeycomb, eats the honey from the honeycomb. I need to back up. Part of Samson being born, they told his mother, you need to raise him as a Nazarite, which meant 3 things. He couldn't have any wine. He couldn't drink anything that was fermented, and he couldn't have anything that's unclean. So that's why this honey in the lion is important, because that's unclean. You're eating out of this lion. So he scoops some honey out and he actually gives some to his mother and father. I want to make a point right there. Be careful who you accept gifts from, because every gift may have a cost to it. You know, what the old folks say, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And so he eats this honey from out of this carcass, gives it to his parents. They don't know. I'm going to take these glasses off so y'all can stop seeing that circle. They don't know that it's going to... that they're eating an unclean product. They thinking that their son know what the rules are governing his life. So now it's time to get married, and during this time they will have a wedding ceremony. The wedding ceremony lasts for 7 days. So he brings his crew with him. He brings 30 men to come down and celebrate the fact that he's getting married. So they're there. And so Samson feeling himself. He gives a riddle. You can read the riddle. I'm not going to discuss the riddle, but the riddle was in Judges 14:14. Reads the riddle. While he's reading the riddle, he says to them, y'all have 7 days to answer this. In those, and if you don't figure it out in those 7 days, you have to give me 30 days worth of linen and 30 days worth of clothing. So he just like, I'm about to get, and they had, each one of them had to give him that. So now it's 3 days into the 7 days. So they go to his wife and they say to his wife, look, you need to tell us what this riddle mean. And if you don't, we're going to set you on fire, and we're going to set your daddy and his whole house on fire. So now she goes back to Samson. Instead of telling Samson what has occurred, she's like, you must don't love me. Why won't you tell me the riddle? So he doesn't tell her at first, but she nags and she nags. And so he tells her. So as soon as she finds out, she goes and she tells the men before the sun sets. So they don't even wait. So before the sun sets, they come and they say to him the answer to the riddle. So he's hot. He's hotter than fish grease at this point. And he was saying, if y'all hadn't been in my wife's face, you wouldn't know the answer to this riddle. So what he goes out to do is he plunders 30 men. And he takes their stuff. So he takes enough stuff to pay off the debt of the riddle, which was 30 days worth of linen and 30 days worth of clothes. So he's hot. He returns to his father's house without his wife. He cools off. He goes back to go get his wife now. And when he goes back to get his wife, her daddy said, he tries to go into her room, and he said, you can't go in her room. And he was like, why? That's my wife. I'm going to get my wife. And he said, no, I thought you hated her. I gave your wife to one of your friends. My friend? You done gave my wife to one of the people I brought to the wedding party? Okay, got it. Samson is set off at this point. He go out and get 300 foxes, ties 2 foxes. So he gets, he is 300. He creates 150 pairs, ties 2 tails, two foxes together, and then puts a torch and puts olive oil in the torch, sets it on fire. Now the foxes are going everywhere because their tails are on fire, and they setting the whole community aflame. So, he goes then and he hides in, oh, let me back up. So once the people find out who did this, they find out it was Samson. And so then they say to Samson's wife, we gonna kill you and your daddy. The thing that she was trying to keep from happening ended up happening. So they set the wife and the husband and her father and his whole household on fire. So everybody dead now. So now Samson is just out here, he goes and hides in a cave in Judah. And so now the tribe of Judah saying, don't bring that mess over here. We're about to deliver you back to the Palestines. No. And so he says, listen, I'll let you guys deliver me in their hands, because he know what strength he has now. I'm gonna let y'all deliver them and deliver me into their hands. However, you can't kill me. And so they agreed. Treaty was made. So then the Spirit of God came on him and his strength came out. So it almost makes me think of like the Incredible Hulk. Y'all, I know I'm not the only person that remember the movie The Incredible Hulk. You get mad. And so now he finds a jawbone of a donkey, and he knocks out 1,000 men with this one jawbone. So Samson then cries out to God and says, I'm thirsty. I done killed all these Palestinians. I'm thirsty. So a well opens and a hole in the wall opens. He drinks some water. He's refreshed. He's ready. So now, because he was going to get his wife, so we know what he was going to get. So now Samson was like, well, let me go get a prostitute. So he hooks up with this prostitute. And so they find out that he's there with this prostitute. And so while he's sleeping, they decide, we're going to attack you while you're sleeping. So he doesn't stay the whole night. He escapes. But he escapes with the door to the city, the door of the gate, and 2 posts. So it's like as to say, I'm going to take your city over. I'm taking y'all door. The protection that you thought you had, it can't keep you from me. I got you. So he does this, and now he sees Miss Delilah. Miss Delilah. So when he sees Delilah, and I'm not sure how they knew that he had an eye for Delilah. I don't know if he still was talking to his crew, the other 29, because the 30 guys with his wife, his first wife. So him and Delilah never married, but him and Delilah doing their thing. So once they find out that he has a liking for her, they approach Delilah and say, we're going to give you 1,100 shekels of silver per man. We're going to give you in return for you telling us the strength of Samson. So she's like, okay. So I had to Google. Right, he do talk. So I had to Google, like, what, 11? How much was that? So during that time, that was the equivalent of 110 days of pay. So, during biblical times, you work a day, you get paid a day. So now that's equivalent to us getting paid 3.5 months worth of your salary. So the equivalent of what the shekel of silver would be today would be $12,000 per person. So I was like, dang, she sold them out for that money. But then I was like, we sell our friends out for less than that. We'll get on the telephone and just tell all their business, and we ain't get paid nothing but a phone bill. So, Delilah is doing her thing. So she goes to him and she asks him for the secrets of his strength. So he doesn't tell her at first. I want to pause right here too. Be careful of people that want to know the secret of your strength. It's because if I find out the secret of your strength, that then tells me what will crumble you. So she asked and asked and asked. So then now he's playing this game with her. The first time he asked, she says, if you tie 7 fresh bowstrings around my wrist, I'll become as weak as a common man. So she does it. And then the morning wakes up. He goes to wake up in the middle of the night. She's screaming, Samson, Samson, the Philistines are upon you. And so he snaps the twigs apart or the bowstrings, and she's like, why do you lie to me? I thought you loved me. Da 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 da. So this happens 3 more times. So the first time is with the bowstrings. The second time is with new rope. The third time is, he said, if you put 7 plaques in my head. And then the 4th time is if you shave my head. Now that's one of also the Nazarenes. They could not put a razor to their head. So she tells him, she gives him the famous line, if you love me, what all have we done for the sake of love? In the name of love, I'm going to do this, this, and this stuff that we would never do. So he go ahead and he gives her the secret, and that's in Judges 16:20. So now he doesn't know that his head is cut, because it says she put him to sleep. Delilah was bad. She put him to sleep. And every time, it wasn't the men that were tying him up or the men that was doing anything. She would find out the secret, and then she was doing it. So she was tying him up. She was braiding his hair. She was shaving his head. So she was doing the things to him. So the very person that he was confiding in was the very person that was his leaking his secrets. So after, once his head is shaved, he then so his head is shaved, and at that very moment that his head is shaved, God leaves him. That is Judges 16:20. So now he's just as weak as a common man. They not only do they shave his head, but they pluck his eyes out. So they pluck his eyes out. He's now a prisoner, and he has no more strength. So he's working in they have him kind of grinding the wheat. So he's grinding wheat, but they also have him coming out to do little side. It said that they used him for entertainment. So I can only imagine what they were doing. It doesn't really say, it just says that he was used for entertainment. So one particular day when they called him out, he then cries out. So he's in like this arena, and so he asked a guy to put his hands on both sides of the pillars, and he cries out to God, sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more. Let me get one blow of revenge against the Palestinians for my 2 eyes. And God does honor his request, and with one push, he pushes the pillars. They fall. It's like 3,000 men and women in there. So Samson dies along with them. His father and his brother comes to bury him, take him back home. They bury him in his father's tomb. So I know I gave y'all a whole lot of background, but I had to give you the background so y'all can be like, okay, I don't get how we making the connections. So the reality is Samson had purpose on his life from the womb. That's why his mother was given very strict instructions. He can't have fermented food. He can't have wine. and he can't eat anything that's unclean, and he cannot put a razor to his head. So it was there was a purpose. And just like all of us, we all have a purpose, we have a talent, and we have a gift. It's up to us to figure out what that is. And sometimes it's hard for us to navigate through trying to figure out what it is, but we all do have it. The next thing is how we can relate to Samson. Samson was a heartbroken man who didn't heal from his first wife. He's mad. He saw that woman. He wanted that woman. This wasn't an arranged situation. It wasn't like other stories in the Bible where the father sent his servant off to go get a woman for his son. He saw this woman. This is who he wanted. He went against tradition to even get her. He wanted her. So, how many of us can relate to that? Maybe you haven't been relationship to relationship, but it's been job to job, it's been friendship to friendship, and you always seem to have this same common problem. So, but remember his parents had told him, this isn't who you want. You get somebody from our own clan. And so how many of us have battled with and being warned to not marry a particular person, or not befriend that person, or not date that person, or so on, and how many of us have become loyal to the manipulation of others. So, and Samson didn't seek God for the relationship, just like we oftentimes don't. We don't seek God for a relationship or for a job or for a promotion. What we do is tell God, I want this person, I want this job, I want this promotion. And so then when we get it, we're like, God, why did you give me this person? Why you give me this job? Why did you give me this promotion? And so it's like we're stuck. Instead of seeking God and seeking his guidance in the beginning, we want to do it our way. And then we're falling out prostrate at the altar when it don't go the way we wanted it to go. So, and how many people have a camp like Samson? It's people in your camp that's just waiting for you to slip up to take your spot. Now, his boys had to know how much he loved this woman, and your friend married your wife. Like, I'm not even dating somebody that went on a date with one of my girlfriends, let alone I'm gonna marry you. So I got a question for my single girlfriends, because I'm expecting that all my married girlfriends, y'all got perfect marriages and y'all husband doing what they supposed to do. But to my single girlfriends like me, that's desiring to be married, pray the Delilahs away from your man. Please, because they out here and they real. Delilah she wasn't playing. He saw her, he wanted her, and she knew what to do, and she did it. But we got to also make sure that we're not Delilah. And we can be Delilah by nagging. The scriptures say that she nagged him to death. He was so tired of her nagging him that she went ahead. He gave her the secret that he knew he wasn't supposed to give her. I mean, like, how crazy do you got to be? The fact this lady on 4 different, I'm frozen. On 4 different occasions, came to him asking him the strength, what was his strength. And so, can y'all let me know if I'm frozen? I just got a text that said I'm frozen. I don't know if I'm frozen or not, but I'm gonna keep going. I don't know if I'm frozen or not. So, okay, thank you. So, and then Samson had loyalty issues. And what I mean by that is he was loyal to those that weren't loyal to him. I was like, wow, I'm Samson. I have been so loyal to people who have not been loyal to me. And it's crazy because she repeatedly showed him that she didn't have his best interest at heart. But he was so crazy. This is like, when I think about the whole signs of Delilah, you already had this experience with your wife. Your wife had already showed you what will happen if you tell the secret, because he gave her the secret to the riddle. And she played them. Now you redoing the whole scene. You talk about if a sign from God. Like, what more did you need, man? Like, in the words of my purse, April, she'll say, "Stop painting your red flags pink." Like, come on, you can't be this slow. But that unhealed loyalty will make you do stupid stuff. And now we sitting about it how many thousands of years later talking about how crazy he was. But oftentimes when we speak of Samson, we always want to talk about how he just had a woman issue. He really had a heart condition issue. He didn't heal from the traumas, and all he knew to do was just rage out. But he did like women. I mean, because he went from a wife to a prostitute to another prostitute. So he liked women for sure. So, and this go back to made me think about my daughter today when she was, last night she was so devastated about having to wear her natural hair today. Like, it was like, oh my God, I don't want to have to wear my natural hair and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, your hair is gorgeous. People are paying to put textured hair that you have in their head. I wish my hair was as thick as yours. So, but going back to Samson, his loyalty cost him to separate from God for a season, and it also cost him his life ultimately. And so, what is being loyal costing you? What lies have you bought into about you? I know I wrote down a couple of the lies that I've bought into. One is, you pretty for a dark skin or thick girl. No, Joker. I'm pretty with a period, with a T at the end of periods. I'm pretty. It's not because I'm dark skinned. It's not because I'm thick. I'm just pretty. Don't compare my pretty to nothing but me. I'm pretty. I'm smart. Not for a woman. Not for I'm pretty. I'm smart. I'm these things. You don't have to add any other adjectives to it. That's a complete sentence. You're pretty, period. The next one that I bought into was, you can never get married again. You can't get married again. No, I can't get married again. And I will get married again if God says so. But I bought into that. I bought into, oh, you had a baby out of wedlock. God can't bless something you do out of wedlock. We sin every day, all day. It's just that my sin was sin, and I didn't try to cover my sin up. Because I could have. I could have very easily went to the clinic and y'all wouldn't even know. But I chose to stand in my truth and say, okay, God, only you can give life. Only you can take away life. And I choose to not hide behind this. And so I'm going to do what I need to do with your help. And it ain't been easy. Now, don't get me wrong. There's not consequences. But she is the best part of me. And I'm grateful because she has truly kept me, because I don't know where I would be if I didn't have that little girl. I promise that. Also, even things, we got to be careful what we pour into our children. I don't know if y'all mamas would say this, but if I said something crazy to my mother, she'd be like, who you think you talking to? Who do you think you are? And I'm like, a nobody. Now I'm pouring into myself that I'm a nobody, because that's, and so we have to be very careful. So you buy into those lies. I remember my cousin was running for mayor, Benny Napoleon. Was running for mayor, and one of my professors came there. She was a teacher, professors. She was a teacher. But she lived in the city of Detroit. And so Monday morning when I came, or whatever day I came to her class, she said, you come from a good family. Why your grades don't reflect this? Why your behavior don't reflect this? And I had to accept that I had a problem with success. I had a problem with being successful, because I knew that if I was successful, if I really operated in the true essence of who and what I am, I wasn't ready for that. It was easier for me to be a failure, because that's what I thought. As I've told y'all before a million times, I graduated 2 years late from school, and, I struggled with reading, and So it was easier for me to just be versus truly standing in my anointing of what God had called me and who he said I was. So it was just easier to buy into the stereotypes of what everybody has said. Yes, Tamar is a great contributor. Yes. And so I also bought into believing that I was difficult because of what I desired. And so I know I done told you guys a couple times that I was dating this guy and I love flowers. And I asked him to give me some, I wanted fresh flowers. And he wouldn't give me the fresh flowers. He gave me fake flowers. And so then I was difficult because I was making known what I wanted. And so I wasn't difficult. I was asking the wrong person to do the right thing for me. Because somebody else may not want flowers, but flowers was what I wanted. Just like I had a gentleman tell me just recently that I'm plus size, I'm over 40, and that I need to learn to date in my range. That I shouldn't be looking for a man that makes a certain amount of money which I don't, but that I shouldn't be looking at all these things because I'm not equipped for that. I'm beyond my expiration date is almost there. No, Joker, you just not him. You not the one, we not the two. And that's okay. So, signs that you need to move on. Whenever you have to exchange your happiness to keep others happy, that's a sign you need to move on. If the loyalty costs you and it's not replenishing you, it's time to move on. If the loyalty in the person, place, or thing is keeping you from Christ, it's time to move on. If their like or love has conditions, and what I mean by conditions, I don't mean boundaries, because there are some conditions. I'm not going to you can't just treat me any kind of way, but those are my boundaries. But if the condition is you got to do this, and this for me in order for me to do a certain kind of way for you, it might be a time for you to reevaluate that situation. And also, if the connection to that person is a pacifier from you doing the work for you to be the best version of you and heal, then it's probably a sign that you need to move as well. And now in closing, I'm going to leave y'all with 3 points. Ask yourself, is your loyalty to a person wrapped up in unhealed traumas? Whenever you try to do better, that's number 2. Whenever you try to do better for yourself, they suffocate it. Girl, you don't need to lose that weight. Girl, you don't need to, I remember when I was dating my daughter's dad, he was like, you don't need to lose weight, because he knew that if I started feeling better about myself, I was going to require better of him. But as long as I was dopeful and frumpy Monique and just was happy with a piece of a man, I was okay. Well, as long as he a piece of a man, he coming home, we working this thing out. Nope. And then number 3, remember that every table has a Judas. Every table has a Judas. Make sure that you're not the Judas sitting at your table, and you are a Judas to yourself if you choose not to be your authentic self. And that's it, y'all. That is it. I know I talk more than I normally do, but I appreciate you all for coming on today. This kind of took a different spin, but I appreciate y'all so much for your support. And if anytime y'all have a question, y'all know y'all can inbox me. You can call me direct. I am here. And I love each and every one of you for being on this live. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, y'all. Have a good night. All right. Bye.